Okay, everybody ready? No? Okay, now I'm ready. Okay. All right, welcome to the Freestyle Gargoyles October 2025 edition. We have some new readers tonight you're going to see, and we have a brand new director, and I want to introduce him. That's Mr. Doug Bailey, and he's going to get us going.
G minor, rock. Wait, what? G minor?
G minor rock.
Rock, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
First dance. My savior. She looked like a flamenco dancer. I mean, what one would expect them to look like in an idealized version of the universe. The oversaturated cinemascope version. She knelt, her long lashes no more than a hand's breadth from my face. My left arm felt like all the bones inside had been shattered. Every heartbeat blasted agony like a scream inside my flesh. At that moment, a confluence of three things dominated my brain. Number one, monsters existed and there was one outside. Number two, getting hit by said monster was a terrible idea. Number three, the flamenco dancer was the prettiest girl I'd ever met. Ruby lips, dark eyeshadow, her hair was perfect. She took in my condition like a combat medic, just a second or two. I could see her coming to a decision, maybe about me, and if I was worth saving. The dancer unbuckled her belt and pulled it free from the loops of her tight blue jeans. A sheath knife of surprising size clattered against the concrete. It had an inscription on the bone hilt, "Hunter of Demons" in Spanish. But I had other things on my mind right then. Listen, I'm flattered, and I'd love nothing more than to, well, whatever you've got planned. But I'm hurt pretty bad, and that thing outside will kill us both if it gets in. She blew air out of her nose, her eyes flashing. That only increased the allure. Leaning against the corrugated aluminum of the corridor, fragments of bone floating like broken shards of champagne flutes inside my arm, I was at her mercy. "Idiot," she whispered. She touched my lips. My mouth came open without my volition. She jammed the belt between my teeth with force enough to hit my head off the wall. "Now bite down on this and try not to scream. We have to fix that arm of yours." I did what she asked. Mostly. I bit down anyway. My eyes squinted shut. I made some noises I'm not proud of. I may have peed myself a little. Whatever pain the shattered bones in my arm had been sending out reached some kind of supernova inside my body. Within the pain, it seemed like reddish light burst all around me in that moment. Then I fell through a hole in the world for a while. I came awake on the concrete. The flamenco girl was gone. She had not, as I may have hoped for, snuggled me, her injured warrior. Because I wasn't much of a warrior, if we're honest. She probably didn't have any use for an office puke and part-time bass player. I sat up, finding that my arm, though racked with weird nerve tingles, seemed to be intact again. How? How did that work? There was no one to answer that question for me, but swearing on a stack of Sabbath albums, I would have testified to the fact that my arm had been mince meat. I knew that the beast outside had shattered it in a single backhand. Oh man, that beast. I didn't get a great look at it, but I know this much. It was big, it was furry, and it was kind of like a Sasquatch, but not exactly. It had more arms than mammals typically have, and fur like a muskox. It smelled like honey and death. One of its gorilla-strength arms had batted me aside like a toddler, not even looking directly at me. I'd been broken, helpless, the stars smeared behind tears of pain and shock. Then the flamenco dancer pulled me into this building, a wood shop of some kind. Now that I settled down, smelled the sawdust. I considered the viability of going out some other door and running like hell. But the beast outside had other ideas. Boom! 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 The industrial door jumped in its casement. The single fluorescent bulb halfway between me and the entry swung on its wires. The old bulb misfired, sending a strobe effect down the corridor. I said words you don't say in front of a lady. That got me up on my feet and moving around the place a little. I bumped into the flamenco dancer as she came out of the side doorway. She had a 2x4 and a table leg in her hands. "Good, you're up," she said. Nothing on her face made it seem like this sort of thing was weird for her. If this was her normal Thursday night, I wondered where the heck she spent her time. What are you thinking?" I asked. "I aim to kill the beasts. You're going to help." She handed me the 2x4 and the table leg. I stood there like the dumbest of the dumbos. "Listen," she started. Up close, I could smell her faint, spicy perfume. "You saw it already. You're involved, and it's easier with two. I've been in one fight my whole life, and I lost. I confessed this much. Didn't seem to faze her any. She put a hand on my arm, pushing me toward the doorway, towards some kind of danger I didn't want to understand. But she was so beautiful, and the part of me that is always 12 years old screamed that I could not punk out this time. I forced myself to nod. On the safe side of the door, she outlined her plan. It relied far too much on my ability to be brave. I reached down into the bedrock of my soul and found that, well, I was scared witless, but I was gonna do this. "What's your name?" the flamenco dancer asked. "People with names don't die as easy." "Rick, but everybody calls me Knuckles." A hint of a smile touched her face. "One fight, but that's your nickname?" "Bass player, a knuckle dragger." I pantomimed holding a guitar. She shrugged. It barely made sense to me, and it was my nickname. "I'll tell you my name when the job is done," she promised. Right before she kicked the crash bar and we ran toward the monster outside. Oh, I could hear my own asthmatic gasps as I ran toward it. Even running hard, it felt like I was moving through molasses. The creature turned toward me at the last moment, dropping a disembodied human arm it had been chewing on. Somebody hadn't been lucky. The furry bulk of the creature loomed, outlined by the 1,000 sodium arc lights of the generating station far across the field. Like a corona of stars, my brain told me, as if such observations could keep a person from dying when they did something of colossal stupidity. I held the full stud 2x4 down by my hips, like I imagined a spearman from the old days might have done. Maybe I gave out an anemic little shout. Every band I've ever been in has said how crappy my backing vocals were, and for good reason. The furry beast locked eyes with me just before impact. The eyes, they were the worst thing. Far too human. My courage kind of failed, but my momentum carried me the rest of the way. I went low, just like the dancer had said. All my forward momentum slammed the end of a 96-inch long piece of Scotch pine into the creature's knee. It barked out a howling roar. Whoa! Then swung its two left fists down, shattering the stud at the halfway point. Now, the plan got real vague here. Something about not getting squidulated. I clumsily threw the back half of the 2x4, which bounced harmlessly off the monster's chest. It roared again, but it was hobbling when it lunged for me. I pulled the table leg from where I'd tucked it in my belt. When not exactly Bigfoot reached for me, I swung hard and caught it across its knuckles. It did not like that. Backpedaling for all I was worth, I kept swinging with my lame weapon. But this time, my heart was hammering so hard that little pops like flashbulbs were going off in the corner of my eyes. I gave back, panting, trying to scream, but I didn't have the breath to scream. The creature bellowed, lumbering after me. All four arms went up, and I knew this was it. Old Knuckles was gonna bite the big one. Or, more accurately, the big one was gonna bite him. At that moment, the monster froze, shuddered, and fell to the side. Behind it, there stood the flamenco dancer. Her long knife was bloody to the hilt, beyond the hilt even. She swiped the blade on the monster's still shuddering corpse, all business, and put it away. I collapsed to the ground, blowing air like I hadn't since I'd been a schoolboy in gym class. The bulk of the creature started to change. In moments, it melted into stinking tar. By the time I got my breath back, it was only an oil spot on the pavement. Even that seemed to be cooking away like diesel smoke, merging with the rest of the industrial haze. What the heck was that? I asked. She gave out a fatalistic little laugh. Would it make you feel better if I told you? I shrugged. I don't know. Trust me, you wouldn't feel any better. She gave my butt a gentle slap, already turning to leave. You did all right, Knuckles. You said you'd tell me your name, I called after her. I lied. Vaya con Dios. I stood still until she faded into the night. I watched the lights and the steam of the generating station until the fierce sweat dried. Next morning, I quit my job. A week later, I was driving a primer gray Chevy Nova across the country, not looking back. Yeah, that was my first demon, not my last. This ain't a fairy tale story. I didn't get the girl. Nobody came and told me the secrets of the world. But if this random office puke can change his stars, maybe you can too.
My eyes fly open, and my heart hammers in my chest. That dream. I have that dream again. I've had it since I was a little girl. It always starts the same way. I'm trapped, paralyzed. I can't move at all. And the shadows, they're all around me. They engulf me. And then I wake up. I gulp in air, trying to calm my speeding heart. and fill my empty lungs. I cast my eyes to the darkest corner of my room, expecting to see the shadows moving, but nothing moves. I hurriedly flip on the lamp, broadcasting pale light throughout my meager bedroom. No shadows. I breathe a sigh of relief. The darkest corner of my room holds the 3 dress forms that display my latest creations. I have been staying up too late working on my fashion line for my midterms. I need 3 cohesive dresses to pass, and if I fail this class, then the scholarship I earned would be revoked, forcing me back to the menial life I used to have. I had to pass. I had to. I couldn't let that childhood nightmare sabotage my life. I rub my eyes, stinging from the lack of sleep. Lack of sleep, that's it. That's why I had that awful dream again. I've been pushing myself too hard since I was accepted into the fashion program. It's just a dream, I quietly whisper to myself and click off the lamp. Shadows engulf the room. A shiver of fear runs the course of my spine, and I dive beneath my covers. As if covers will help, get a grip, I say to myself. Chastising myself even more for being a coward, I tentatively peek out from behind my comforter. The shadows remain stock still in the corner. I notice a small trickle of light beaming in the window from the street lamp located right outside of my dorm, but the shaft of light doesn't reach the corner where the dress forms are. My eyes return to the corner. 1, 2, 3. 3 dress forms. I watch, still waiting for a 4th shadow to appear, just like it does in the dream. 1, 2, 3. Still 3. 3 shadows, 3 dress forms. I shake my head, hyper aware of how ridiculous I am being. Resolved that I'm just over fatigued, I sigh again and lower my head to my pillow. Out of the corner of my eye, I catch emotion. I shoot up in bed again, eyes glued to the corner. 1, 2, 3. Still 3. I wait. I watch, clutching my comforter just below my face. No movement. Did I make that up? I try to slow my breathing again. My heart is pounding. It feels like it's trying to break free from my ribcage and flee the darkness. I stare into the corner, praying that nothing moves. The shadows remain still. Nothing moves. A church bell tolls once in the distance, pulling my focus to my window. I jump at the interruption. I shift my grip on my comforter and return my gaze to the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4? Are there 4 shadows now? That can't be right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. There are 4 shadows. I shoot my hand out and fumble for the lamp switch. Light fills the room, and I quickly count 3 dress forms, not 4. 3, just like always. I shake my head, convinced that my mind is playing tricks on me as I shut off the light. Go to sleep. Nothing is there, I repeat over and over in my head. But I can't shut my eyes. I just know that if I shut my eyes, then it will get me. It. The thing that has terrorized my dreams since I was little. The shadow. Another shiver racks my body, and I realize that I'm sweating. I need to throw off my covers and let the cool night air wash over my body, but I can't. I can't let go of my comforter. My fingers feel frozen to the safety of the comforter. My whole body is sweating, but I have to look. I have to. I slowly draw my eyes to the corner. 1, I count slowly. 2, 3. I drag my eyes across the dress forms and darkness. Nothing but darkness and shadows cast in the darkest part of my room. I stare into the dark corner, waiting, watching, silently praying. 3 shadows, 3 dress forms, nothing else. Until a 4th shadow pulls away from the wall. Terror, true terror, floods my body. Light, I need light. My hand shoots out to the lamp, but clumsy me, I knock over the lamp and hear the ominous shattering of the bulb as it hits the floor. The shadow, dark and inky, slinks away from the wall. I cry out, but my voice is just a whisper. No, 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 this can't be real. This can't be happening. The shadow glides closer, pulling itself across the floor. I can't hear its soundless progress. I can only see a dark shape sliver forward. Fear grips me and freezes me to my bed. Move to the light. Something primitive kicks in. It unlocks my limbs and frees my body. I throw back the covers and slam my feet down on the floor. I bolt for the tiny shaft of light streaming in through my window because shadows hate light, right? Something cold wraps around my ankle. I drop to my knees, crying out at the force in which I meet the floor. Ice travels through my body. I am yet again frozen. I can still move my arms, so I claw desperately at the floor, willing myself towards the light. Cold, so cold. My whole body is cold. My muscles are ice. My blood is ice. My bones are mere icicles under my skin. I feel the weight of the shadow as it creeps over me. Fear and hatred seep into me. I can feel the inky ice as it seeps into my every pore, choking off my airway, blinding my eyes, and filling my lungs. My finger is a mere centimeter from the light, but it's too late. The shadow has me. I am no more. All that is left of me is cold and dark. I have become the dark thing. I am the dark. I am nothing more than shadow.
Midnight snack. Jasper woke up early to get to Pete Greenhouse and Gardens right as they opened. They were unloading a full truck of royal blue hibiscus, dug fresh from the local forest, and he'd been trying to get a dozen all spring. The truck had barely pulled into the country dirt lot before he had his pallet ready to load. He purchased a dozen hibiscus and a few trays of blue star creeper for ground cover, and spent the day finishing the flower beds, adding soil, tilling, repairing sprinkler lines, and finally putting in his bushes. He was nearing the end, one bush left to plant. He gripped the trunk of the bush and gently pulled it out of the planter's pot. It was then he noticed his fingernails were glowing blue. He brushed his thumb with his forefinger and it shimmered. It wasn't just his nails, there was a faint dusting of blue up and down the hair on his furry forearms. He set the bush down and the root ball cracked. It also had a shimmer of blue inside. He was already on his knees and went down on his hands to take a closer look. A sweet fungal scent filled his nostrils. Inside the root ball was a round, furry, pale blue growth with the teeniest, tiniest blue and white mushrooms dotting the surface. Huh, Jasper grunted and shoved the bush into the hole. I've seen weirder things come out of these pots. Later, he took a shower and scrubbed the dirt and sweat and fungus and all the hard work of the day off his body. He let the warmth of the shower run down his back as he watched the dirt swirl down the drain. He put soap in the scrubber and brushed down his body. No matter how hard he scrubbed and scraped, his fingernails retained a stained shimmer of blue. He'd been working nonstop all day, but he was ready to call it a night and turn off the snooze. He got out of the shower, dried off, dropped his towel, and hopped into bed. Jasper woke up at midnight sitting bolt upright. His stomach let out a roar. I could use a midnight snack. He'd been so exhausted he had forgot to eat dinner. He'd barely stopped for a cheese sandwich. It wasn't like him to eat this late, but he was hungry. He slipped out of the covers and found his way through the dark in the kitchen. He opened the fridge and pulled out a Tupperware of leftover stroganoff. He cracked the lid to see a ring of green and white mold. Scrunched up his nose. Ew. He pulled out a handful of grapes and started popping them into his mouth, scratching at his bare butt as he thought what to eat. Oh, he thought, I have a frozen dinner in the basement freezer. He walked slowly down the carpeted stairs. As he got to the bottom step, he heard a noise. He stopped and saw a light on around the corner of his staircase landing. He walked slowly up. I thought I had a frozen dinner in here somewhere, came a voice. His voice. He peeked around the corner to see his own bare butt bent over the freezer door and highlighted with a stream of moonlight from a single window well. What the crud, Jasper said. The doppelganger jolted upright in the freezer and held a frozen dinner over his groin, Dick's brand sausage and potatoes. What the crud, said the doppelganger. He dropped the frozen dinner and reached for whatever he could find nearby. He grabbed onto a fishing pole and held it like a fencing sword. Jasper, on cue, grabbed the closest thing to him, a folding chair. How did you get in my house? Your house? How did you get into my house? Who are you? They began to circle each other. I'm Jasper Amanita. No, I'm Jasper Amanita. The butt is going on, they said in unison. Fishing pole Jasper swung the pole at folding chair Jasper, striking him on the shoulder, leaving it stinging. Folding chair Jasper took a step forward and slammed the folding chair down onto the fishing pole Jasper, knocking him to the ground. He dropped the folding chair and ran up the stairs into the kitchen. A faint blue hue was glowing through the kitchen window from the garden. He pulled a long knife from the block on the kitchen counter and turned to face the basement stairs. The other Jasper came running up the stairs. Wait, he held up his hands. I know I'm Jasper, and I know you are Jasper. There's obviously something weird going on here. No way, man. No way I'm Jasper. You're a freaking lunatic, or I'm some kind of nightmare. The Jasper with the knife, straining with the effort of how to prove he was himself to himself, started to lower the knife, then saw the glimmer of blue on his fingernails. He looked at the other Jasper and saw that his nails were clean, no blue. My finger is blue from the garden today. The other Jasper's eyebrows wrinkled with confusion and then hatred. Jasper thrust the knife into the false Jasper, dragging the knife from his belly button to his sternum. A thick excretion of powdery blue and white mold fuzz burst from the false Jasper as an inhuman moan escaped his lips. Jasper tripped backwards into the hallway. I'm the real Jasper. He shut himself into the bathroom and turned on the light, splashed his face with cold water from the faucet, and rubbed his eyes in the mirror. He stared at his image. His shoulder hurt from where the fishing pole had struck him. He rubbed it and saw a little blue stain around the wound. He thumbed the stain away and splashed antiseptic over the cut. A drop of blood oozed out and stained the Band-Aid he covered it with. The false Jasper had crumbled into a pile of dusty fungus on the kitchen floor by the time he made it out of the bathroom. He may continue to crumble into something that could be swept away in the morning, but he needed rest. He needed to think about what happened. Who was he supposed to call? What was he supposed to call someone? Was he dreaming? He turned on the light in the bedroom and found his bed saturated with a ring of blue and white mold fuzz. Little tiny dust mushrooms dotted the surface of the mold and got bigger as they neared the center, gathering on the partially muscled skeleton that lay rotting in bed. Jasper watched as the mushrooms puffed and grew, swole, got black goo that clung to each bone like oily cobwebs to the meat separating it from it. They burst and crawled over the bones and filled into size. Jasper turned off the light and hid out of sight in the corner. He watched, shoulder throbbing, as a new Jasper began to rise in bed and take a deep inhale. It turned over in bed a couple times before sitting bolt upright, tearing away from the remaining skeleton that lay upon the bed with a sickening tear. Came the noise as the Jasper in bed rubbed his eyes and said, I could use a midnight snack.
I was teaching Ezra Pound to box and gaining no traction. His moves brought to mind the scuttling of a sleepwalker with lockjaw. I decided the best thing to do was take him to the Cirque de Hiver over on 110th Rue Amelat. There I could show him the difference between the palookas and the boxers. It was a brisk walk in the cool evening air. My old waterproof smelled of the rum I'd spilled on it at the cafe on Place Saint-Michel. Earlier, when one of the Pivrots had bumped into me, she stunk of gin and garlic and growled at me like a bear cat. I offered her my apologies, only to be met with profanity, rude gestures, and something about her bohemian gypsy boyfriend taking care of me if I didn't leave. I wasn't afraid of any boyfriend, but I had better things to do, and this was the last few hours before I'd meet with Ezra. Ezra was excited, asking if the waiters really boxed. I told him they did, and there was some of the best boxers ever seen, always struggling for recognition and standing. And there was always the beautiful ladies at the boxing matches, and the stands always reeked of sweat and expensive perfumes. The wind barreled down the boulevard as Ezra and I crossed over the sign. I thumbed the worn rabbit's foot in my pocket. It was good to keep luck so close. The worn sinews contrasted with the cold silver spoon Gertrude Stein had given me earlier that afternoon, previously. Stein and I spoke of the arts as we usually did. A painting she had recently purchased of a child eating, and made mention offhand that my son Bumby had started on solid food. She gave me a scolding, as per usual, then handed me the silver spoon, adding that it would be fine for Hadley to use as a gift, as I didn't have much of any other silverware anyway. I accepted, if only for the sake of pleasing her. The thought of trading it to the old man with his stalls of books beside the sign passed through my mind more than I cared for. If you were lucky, you could barter for 2 or 3 English novels, since the French counted them of little to no value. Back then, books always were counted against lesser essentials. Ezra interrupted my thoughts. Hem, will you look at the moon? It's beautiful tonight. I saw, but didn't care, still bothered by Miss Stein's curious and unwanted gift. Looks much the same as last night. The city of light dulls the moon. I don't think it looks as good anywhere as it does here. No, it doesn't. Ezra stopped short, looked at me. What's gotten into you? I'm just tired. The moon does look beautiful. He kept staring. We continued on to the Cirque de Hiver. Not far to my right down the boulevard, there was the race course where I had lost again. I hoped the boxing would prove better tonight. Even if you were punched in the face and lost, a good fight made you feel alive. Losing a bet with the horses only made you feel like a fool in the grave, helpless and ashamed. But a modern-day coliseum like the Cirque de Hiver is a great oval, ample seating, and it made me feel alive to be there. So despite the wonderful lights and exotic scent of 1,000 perfumed patrons, the fights were poor, and the boxers juvenile. I knew I couldn't teach Ezra everything I needed to do, so we walked on. We drank beer during the fights, and afterwards went to the Belle Esprit for a cafe cream until it cooled enough. And then we walked on. It seemed a long walk. We stopped for drinks again, discussing the subjects, but then turned to find liquor. I hear the absinthe is good here, said Ezra. At least Olga said it was. I smiled at that. We drank the pale jade liquor and laughed about forgotten friends and remembered enemies until it was very late. Said my goodnights and stumbled down the Luxembourg Gardens as a shortcut home. Night can be graceful tonight, as well as the inspiration, so I would write tonight. Gossamer shadows danced and flitted on the edge of vision. I wondered who they were and where they were going. I did not feel ready to go home just yet, and then I heard an odd sound, a sick dog barking or coughing somewhere in the darkness. Turning, I bumped into that Puvrat from earlier. She was in no better mood. Her androgynous raven hair was a mess, and she stank. She greeted me with a slew of coarse language that only made me laugh. She raised a fist to strike at my chin, and even with the absinthe flowing in my blood, I easily blocked her clumsy attack and laughed again, which made her angrier. Le loup, she shouted. I was puzzled. Now, she must have been even more drunk than I realized. Would someone come running thinking that she was calling me a wolfish rapist? Surely there could be something more in Paris tonight. But experience had taught me that people will do and believe anything. I had no worries as the shadow people were all gone. I didn't even hear the low mutter of Paris any longer, only the somber fall wind. She cursed me again. "You talk a lot of rot. Stay away from me," I said, turning to head home. And like a good boxer, I kept a peripheral eye on her and knew she was 20 paces back when a silent, brawny bulk slammed me to the ground. The wind was knocked from my lungs and I lost a little absinthe right there on the park ground. A strong, hairy hand clutched at my shirt, popping off several buttons. An ungodly smell seeped from the man who I could only assume was the gypsy boyfriend. He coughed, and what sounded like tuberculosis, with the moon dripping behind him, masked his face in darkness. I sent an uppercut to his long chin. I felt his body roll away as I kicked him to gain footing in time. He was strong as any man I've ever fought. I could see I could not release myself from his hold. I only then began biting down and drew blood. He howled like an epileptic dog and let go. The woman was laughing insanely, and I have seldom beheld a more wicked countenance than hers. I turned to face the man, regretting I did not have my knife. That was when I knew the absinthe had struck me harder than I would have believed. What I thought stood before me looked more like a wolf than man. A wretched mongrel cross, something out of a pale jade-induced nightmare. The woman was shrieking, "Leloup!" Must have fouled my already ossified wits and birthed this hideous mirage. The wolfman coughed and howled his bloody rage. I brought my fists up to box him, since I was too soused to think of anything else. I wondered if the ruckus would bring out gendarmes. For once I'd hoped they'd come quickly. He charged faster than I was prepared for, had me on the ground in an instant. Long claws clawed and tore at my clothing while I kicked and punched. I felt ripe gashes open and bleed all over my chest and face. The son of a bitch enjoyed his masquerade, howling again. A blow to the head caused stars to explode across my sight, far more than any of the decorating the sky. Was this the end? Would I die here in the cold? Nothing more in my pocket than a rabbit's foot and silver spoon? Silver! Son of a bitch! I yanked the spoon from my jacket and pressed it against the bastard's face, and he howled again, this time in pain. A hard slap of the spoon from my grasp. Again he slashed and tore, clamping a hairy hand across my throat. I tried to escape but couldn't budge beneath his weight. The moon cast an eerie light over him, revealing a spoon-shaped burn across his cheek. The wolfman leaned in, exulting triumph. I fought back, pressing my thumb into the yellow orb of his eye. He reeled back, twisting on the lawn. I frantically reached for Gertrude's gift. I felt the blows of the woman's handbag on my back, but ignored them as I traced my fingers through the pale dead grass. The wolfman howled again. I sensed his approach. I touched the cold silver spoon. Never had such a delicate utensil felt so good, so potent in my hand. He grasped my left shoulder and spun me about like a rag doll. I faced him, plunging the tiny cupped head right into his eye. I let go, and the spoon standing erect from his face, a tiny arrow of swirled flowery fletching. The wolfman's remaining eye flickered. He froze like one of the statues on the Kabul Mufar. The woman screamed again, but no longer in joy. The wolfman took a precarious step, crumpled and slumped on his face. As he hit the ground, he curled into the fetal position, seeming to almost shrink, clearly an illusion of my absence. He let out a curious gasp, and I caught a whiff of the foul stench as his bowels loosed. The woman looked to me and ran into the night, gibbering like so many other perbots. In the distant darkness, I heard the gendarmes whistle. I wasn't about to wait for them. I had no wish to see the inside of the Bastille while they did their guesswork. I walked away briskly. Never spoke of the incident to another living soul. I still wonder what I saw that night. And the absinthe had proven more potent than that in Spain, because I never did hallucinate like that again. I heard some tales in Upper Michigan about wolfmen, but it was always so much rot. I told Hadley and others that a window had shattered on me to explain the cuts and bruises. I was laid up and sore for a week, but counted myself lucky. The next time I was out with Ezra, I declined any of their drinks. I made it a point to thank Gertrude for the spoon. I told her it found a good home. P.S. Ezra still can't box.
I'm editing you. A symphonic inner monologue in 4 movements. Fort. The word is fort. It isn't forte. Nothing is forte. That's not a word. You think it sounds sophisticated. I know. In fact, it sounds wrong. Fort. It isn't forte either. That's a word. It's an adjective in Italian. It means strong. It's a word, but it isn't the right word. You don't think you're saying it's not my strong when you say it's not my forte, do you? You think you're saying it's not my strength. The word you're looking for is fort. You're using these wrong pronunciations because you think it makes you sound smarter. It does not. The word you're trying to use is French. In French, it means strength. If you want to sound sophisticated, try using a French pronunciation. Fort. On second thought, though, maybe don't. Fort. The word is fort. I'm editing you. I am sipping this drink and trying not to roll my eyes, and I'm editing you. You need it. Jack and me. Not Jack and I, not this time, Jack and me. I know that sounds wrong to you. That's because you speak bad English. You don't think you do. You learned this very rule because you thought it made you sound more sophisticated, but unfortunately the rule that you learned is wrong. And you go around saying this thing that is very bad English. And you don't sound smart, you sound fake smart. You sound smart enough to know there's a rule here, but not smart enough to get it right. She wants to talk to Jack and me, not Jack and I. Here's the deal. You midwit time server, here is a trick, here is a shortcut. You can't say Jack and I in any sentence where you wouldn't say I. She wants to talk to Jack and I is wrong because you would also never say she wants to talk to I. She wants to talk to me, therefore she wants to talk to Jack and me. Now Jack and I is sometimes right. It's right to be a little technical when Jack and I are the subject, or when we are the subjective complement. But I don't want to go too far over your head. Just trust me on this simple trick. If you would say I, then you can say Jack and I. But if you would say me, then you have to say Jack and me. I'm editing you. I'm grinning. And I'm not saying anything out loud, but in my head, I'm editing you. Listen to me closely. Just kidding. You can't hear this. I'm only saying it in my head, but I feel like I'm screaming it. You were not just laying there when the phone rang. You were never just laying there. You can't just lay there. This is not that hard. It goes like this. Lie means to be horizontal. I lie down. Do you want to lie down? I am lying down. I was lying down. Past tense. I lay down. She lay on the sofa. He lay on the carpet. We call this an intransitive verb. It means the subject contains the action in itself. When the person does the action to an object, we call that a transitive verb. Lay is the transitive verb. Lay means to put something in a horizontal position. I lay the book down. I am laying the book down. I was laying the book down. Past tense, I laid the book down. She laid the book down. Transitive verb needs an object. Here are some things you cannot say. I was just laying there. She laid down to sleep. You cannot say that. He lie the book down. Wrong. Lie means be horizontal. Lay means make horizontal. I'm editing you. Believe me, I'm not doing it because I want to. I'm doing it because your English is a train wreck. Here we are with the French again. Not too big a surprise, half of English is French. It's the half you don't speak. What you are trying to say is coup de grace. Coup is a blow, like counting coup. Grâce means grace or mercy. The coup de grace is the killing blow that puts your enemy out of his misery. It ends his suffering and is therefore an act of mercy. Like me, listening to you right now, I would happily accept a coup de grace from anyone. You think in a vague, underinformed kind of way that the French don't pronounce consonants at the ends of their words, and this is sometimes true. It's not true in this case. In this case, you pronounce the consonant coup de grace. When you leave out the consonant, what you say is coup de grace. The problem with that is that gras is a different word in French. It means something else. It means fat. It's a noun, like belly fat or body fat. So you're talking about some stupid election. You think you're being sophisticated with your French words about how your candidate should finish his opponent with a merciful final blow in a debate. But actually, you're saying he should finish off his rival with a blow of fat. Now, in some contexts, this can actually make sense. If, for instance, you are live commenting a match between sumo wrestlers and Taiho defeats Chiyonofuji by slamming the smaller fighter to the ground under the mass of the larger man's belly. That would be a coup de grace, a blow of fat. But in your case, I'm pretty confident you're just wrong. Coup de grace. Unless maybe you mean your candidate should engage in some act of pork barrel spending. Some real pointless throwing around of government funds at voters A splurge of largesse that will buy him another 10,000 votes and the election. A belly full of fat government dollars that will keep your guy in office forever. Maybe that's what you mean with your oh so clever sounding coup de grace. But probably not. Coup de grace is the phrase. I'm editing you. This is a cocktail party, so I am nodding and biting my tongue. But I'm editing you. I'm editing all of you. And heaven help you if you ever send me anything in writing.
For the readers.
Yeah, man.
All right, that's it. You never know what's going to happen, so that's what happened. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. And thanks for the readers. Yeah.